This shot right here, about 150 to 200 feet from the basket, is by far the most important shot in all of disc golf. A lot of people think that throwing 300, 400, 500, even 600 feet is going to save you tons and tons of strokes out on the course. And while that's true on some courses, if you can't accurately execute that 200-foot approach shot, it doesn't matter if you can throw a mile if you can't pitch the ball 6 feet.
Right? Yes. You can throw it a mile, you can't pitch it 3 yards.
Hey everybody, what is up? It's Antonio. Welcome to day 24 of the 30 videos and 30-day challenge. I am so excited for today's episode. This is by far one of the most important things that we are going to talk about. It's something that everybody needs to work on and that everybody can do to improve their game. In episode 12 of the 30 videos and 30-day challenge, we talked about approaching the basket. One of the best ways that we can practice approaching is actually coming out to a course and throwing a shot and practicing. So we have some elevation here. The basket is probably about 6 to 8 feet from where I'm throwing. And this is something that you can't really simulate out in a field. So setting up shop here on a course like this and just practicing these approaches is going to really help you learn your approach discs. Now, when it comes to approach discs, real quick, I would just recommend having 2 different types of discs to approach with. Something that's neutral to understable and something that is overstable and starts to beat in to be a little bit straighter, but is not overlapping with something that already flies straight. Having 2 shots like this, especially if you can forehand and backhand both discs, is really going to increase the probability of you approaching the basket with success. There are a couple ways that we can attack this basket. We can go with the forehand, okay? That's gonna come and crash into the hill or come on top, and it's going to finish to the right of the basket. That's a pretty safe play because the ground is flat up near the basket and we have some brush behind the basket that would slow the disc down. For the backhand, there are 2 ways that you can execute this shot. You can go all air and try and get the disc to rest on top of the hill that the basket's on, but you run the risk of going too far left and then skipping down the mountain or flying off, skipping down the hill or rolling down the hill and those kinds of things, and it leaves you with a pretty long putt. The other way is to actually throw at the hill and try to get the disc to slide up. Now let's go compare where all of those shots landed to see, in this scenario, what would be the best approach shot next time. So this jokery was the backhand all air shot, trying to get up here on the platform. As you can see, there's a lot of risk here. The camera is essentially right next to the basket. There's not a lot of space. On that approach shot, I just went OB, and then from where I was last in bounds, I'm gonna have a really long uphill putt. Whereas over here, the forehand jokery was a tap in, and you can see kind of how it goes up just a little bit right here as the forehand's crashing in, making a perfect backstop. And playing onto the hill and letting the disc slide up lets you kind of throw pretty hard and allow the disc to carry. The one thing about a shot like this that you want to be careful about is that you don't throw too inside on the hill. If you throw too inside on the hill, you're going to skip and go down it. And that's just going to create more strokes and harder putts to make. So in this scenario, what I found to be easiest was to actually go with the forehand jokery to crash in and use the elements around the basket to help me improve my score. These are just simply put the kinds of things you can't practice in a field, in your backyard, whatever it is, when you're trying to improve your approach game. The approach game is going to save so many strokes if you know how to accurately approach the basket with timing and knowing when to throw the forehand shot and the backhand shot. And you can only do that if you go and camp out at a course for a little bit and you practice on each hole that you're playing. That way you can get changes in elevation, changes in wind and direction, and just kind of getting a feel for how your discs are flying. Also, I learned that even though I have 2 jokeries in the bag, as expected, the base plastic is a lot more neutral. And so this is a disc that I don't have to worry about flying like the Love, but it's not gonna be nearly as overstable as this premium plastic jokery. And so I have 2 molds, 3 different stabilities that I feel really confident in throwing, which is just going to help my approach game so much more.